We're going to start with the info worksheet, which is what drives everything in your T2 return. So when you've opened up a new or carried forward an existing tax return in TaxCycle, the first thing you always want to do is double check that the information on your info worksheet is correct. So for new files, you'll be putting in your business number, your start and end tax year date, the corporation's name, language of correspondence, what type of corporation you're creating the return for. This is important because this also drives calculations within the software depending on the type of corporation that you're preparing the return for. So make sure you're selecting the correct one here. If there's a tax exempt status, that would go in this box down here if that happens to apply to the corporation that you're working on. So if we go a bit further down, we're going to put in all the standard information for your address, your contact person, and you can choose to use the signing officer that you've put in here as your contact person, or you can choose to use the firm. If you leave both of those empty, then you would have to enter this manually in here. Residency drives also calculations, and what you will see inside of your return as you're preparing it. We're not going to show you things related to Manitoba if you're not preparing a return for Manitoba. So you'll want to make sure that you're selecting all of the jurisdictions that apply. If you're filing a CO-17, then you'll also want to select Quebec over on this side. And then you'll notice that now I have all of the CO-17 options will also show on the side here once I've selected Quebec. In the filing section, you're going to want to answer all of these questions that are relevant to you. In particular, did the corporation own any foreign income property? This is what's going to trigger the option to transmit in the left side menu. So in the transmit panel over on the side here. So if this applies, you select yes. T1134 and 106 are down in this section. So if those apply, you'll select yes for those two. We did move the UHT question, which we had on info before, is now here on the engagement return or engagement worksheet. If you scroll down, if you want to keep track of whether or not you're filing a UHT return also for this corporation, you would do that here under other engagements. This will also trigger a clause or paragraph on your client letter when you're sending out that piece of information to your clients. It also rolls up into your client manager as well when you're searching your files. And then of course you've got business activity and a few more questions here that are important around the business activity. If you're filing in Alberta, because I had Alberta selected, you'll have another section here for Alberta, another section for Quebec. So you want to make sure that all of these are completed and ready to go. So in a typical engagement for a T2, you would also, ahead of all of this, would want to, once you're finished with the info worksheet, you might want to send out an engagement letter. You may have some working paper software that you're using that already has an engagement letter set up or that you've set up in there, and you might want to use that. If you don't have access to that or not using a working paper software, there is an engagement letter in here as well in TaxCycle, and that is available from the side. You can also, F4 will bring up the quick search and you could type engagement and bring it up this way, or we have the fast find up here in the home menu as well. So you can use our out-of-the-box engagement letter. You can clone it and create your own engagement letter, but that is also another option. And in the workflow, there's a tracking mechanism so you can keep track of whether or not that was sent out and whether or not you received a signed engagement letter back from your client.